Okay, so today I'll go through the human menstrual cycle. It's a fairly complicated process, so I'll try to make it as simple as possible. This graph here will work a lot. This graph, it's important to understand. So we'll go through this here. So this, just for reference, and you have it here, is the uterus. This part here is the endometrium. Very rich, thick tissue and blood cells as well. And this is what is commonly discharged and we refer to as the period. So here, this here, oops, let's wait, that won't work. This here in general is the follicle. Well, we use that or generally to refer to both sperm and the egg. The outer shell is the corpus luteum. Corpus luteum. Spell that properly. There you go. And it houses the actual egg, which I'll do in red, which is this spot here, which is the follicle, if you want to say it in more general terms. So all the important hormones that directly affect the menstrual cycle are here. Follicle-stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, estrogen, and progesterone. Those two last you've probably already heard about. So everything starts, or we'll just get a sort of intuitive sense of what these hormones do. You can see here there's a big, this purple here one is LH, luteinizing hormone. There's a big spike here, and you can kind of see that so when this egg quits the corpus luteum, that's ovulation. And you could kind of intuitively see that they match up a lot. So an estrogen, not estrogen, FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, but to a lesser degree as well. Right, so these things, kind of get a sense that these things are what triggers ovulation, especially luteinizing hormone. Then if we look at the trends as well, this purple here is progesterone, as you can see from the graph here. And progesterone is the main hormone responsible for the endometrium, the lining here of the uterus. And if the egg is fertilized, the zygote will attach to this lining and then eventually get the nutrients or whatever else it needs to develop. So the progesterone here stimulates, as you can see, as the egg exits, as the ovulation happens, we eventually lose the endometrium. And progesterone is the hormone that builds that back up here. Starts here and then eventually it builds, and it gets thicker here. And are we missing any? Oh yeah, so there's estrogen here. Estrogen is also responsible for the building of the endometrium. So if we sort of look at it differently as well, there's a lot of stuff going on here at the hormonal level. And we're only touching the very surface of it. So everything starts with the hypothalamus. If you remember correctly, the hypothalamus is the organ in the brain that sort of monitors the blood flow for hormones. Thalamus. The hypothalamus stimulates GnRH, which stands for gonadotropic releasing hormone. That hormone then eventually releases two hormones, not at the same time, mind you, which are FSH and LH. So if you remember correctly, the way LH being luteinizing hormone, and we call it that way, the way I remember is LH is the luteinizing hormone, is the one that's responsible for the separation of the corpus luteum, hence the luteinizing part, and the egg. And it's also, so here at day 14, here is ovulation. So it's also responsible, luteinizing hormone is also responsible for the beginning of the luteal phase. So it kind of all comes together. And similarly, FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, follicle is the hormone. So where is it? Blue here. You see there's a big, not that much of a big, but a gradual increase in FSH, and it's what stimulates the release of an egg. Hence the release of a follicle. There's something analogous in males as well, which we'll see probably later. So it stimulates this. As you might expect, both these things don't, or they do happen. There's a spike in FSH here as well, but generally they don't happen together. Of that, then what occurs is both these hormones, through more processes, stimulate the ovary. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot something here. Both these hormones, so GnRH, gonadotropic releasing hormone, stimulates the anterior pituitary, which releases FSH and LH. So, so all this stuff here, if you want, happens in the brain. Just this happens in the brain and is released to your blood flow. Just move down a bit. So all this stuff happens and then triggers the ovary to release the two remaining hormones we have, which are estrogen and progesterone. Oops. Really very horribly. There we go. Progesterone. Should have tried doing the same colors, but whatever. So, but these, if we remember correctly, progesterone is the main, both are responsible, by the way, for increasing the endometrium, which ultimately leads to menstruation. That's the uterus lining. So, but progesterone, as you see here, is the main culprit for this happening. For the thickening of the endometrium. And then you have estrogen as well, which plays a part. So both these things, and it's quite interesting actually, we don't go into detail here, but what stimulates estrogen and progesterone is the remaining of the corpus luteum. So once this leaves, the corpus luteum leads to the secretion of estrogen and progesterone. I hope this helps. It's a bit of an overview. It's a really complicated topic, as you might expect, but I hope that helps you understanding a bit more